So now we take your questions, and we have attendants here with microphones somewhere. All right, in the meantime, if you just want to stand up and maybe speak loudly until we get the microphones here, that would be great, right here. Yes, please.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
I apologize.
Saves my throat a little bit there. Yeah, how do we see that gap between TRL level 6 and hitting industry? Because I think it's common across everything that we've talked about. There's a lot of good work in nanotechnologies, in biotechnologies, there's all the sort of new coming stuff. But it's not reaching the right audiences, and certainly not in the educational stream. So what's the panel's view on that?
Dan, shall I address that?
You can start.
Yeah, all right. Well, yes, I think one of the things is to have someone from industry actually answer that. But the first reaction is that's what some of these manufacturing centers are designed to do, is to bring these technologies into a more advanced stage where they can then attract a private or additional public capital depending on the need. The power of the procurement system in the U.S. Can be very helpful in bringing those technologies forward in metal alloys, for example, where there are needs in naval shipping, which could well bring that. The other is also to build these coalitions of partners who are working on common goals, where there can be multiple applications, which would then qualify for longer-term investment. I'll turn to my colleague here at Boeing, but I think it's worth saying that many of the companies of that quality and category have long-term horizons and are willing to nurture a technology forward. But I would turn to you for that.
I think your answer is a very good start to how we approach that valley of death and the TRLs beyond 6. We struggle with it ourselves sometimes internally to look at what does that really look like, and it requires better definition of what a TRL level beyond 6 and what are the artifacts, the criteria, as you mentioned before, set up the metrics ahead of time and really understand where you're heading with it, and then investing doing it right. And investment means not just in the money, the capital that's required, but also in the people that are required to move that technology along well and understand what it looks like in the final state.
Do I have another question? Right here?
Yes, this is a question for Mrs. Chang. For her experience, what does she think about the application of cloud services in manufacturing processes for the company Boeing, which has to manage many suppliers in the manufacturing processes and also in developing of new products? What are the problems and advantages of the use of cloud technologies into that? Thanks.
Could you repeat part of that question? I'm not sure I heard everything up here. Is it?
I think it's the use of cloud computing in manufacturing.
Now, can you please ask the question again? It wasn't quite understood.
The question was about the application of cloud services into the manufacturing processes, especially concerning and managing so many suppliers in manufacturing products and development new products.
Thank you for repeating that. We are looking very carefully at using cloud services in our manufacturing and managing a lot of the processes. As you'll learn tomorrow, there's a lot of concern about the security of using the cloud for what we're trying to do. So we have to be very, very careful about how we approach that.
Maybe to add on that, you know, we think that it's a great transformation that we are going on. It's true that there is a number of demand from small companies, particularly, where for sure the cloud is a great way to answer. Still a number of challenges, but definitely I think that we are on our way to make sure that a lot of those capabilities that you talk about when it's about modeling capabilities, simulation, design capabilities on the manufacturing side could really available, affordable on the cloud. It's something we are investing significantly on, and I think we see already a number of things happening. For sure we are far from having that being generalized everywhere, but the direction is there, and I truly believe that over years we'll get there.
Peter. Good morning. I have a question, well, a couple of comments and a brief question. For Mr. Hedenberg and Dr. Wessner, a comment, I think you really put the nail, hit the nail on the head with your queries about university reward systems. It's very difficult. One of the worst things that can happen to a young professor is that they begin to work with industry, which is very excited about their work and wants to protect it, so doesn't allow them to publish, and then that can really put a kink in their career. And I wonder if Mr. Hedenberg could comment about any changes that were made in Finland to help Nokia get going sort of 25 years ago when they were making their great transformation from snow tires to cell phones. And then a totally unrelated question for Ms. Chong. I wonder how much progress or what kind of progress have you made on the repair of composite structures, specifically for the 787, because this has been a real thorn in the side of the project. It's been a very difficult issue. I just wonder if you could say anything about that. Thank you.
No, I think the question was here.
Yeah, I'll try to comment a little bit about on the history of Nokia. I don't know if too many of you are aware that the story of Nokia started with rubber boots. And the history of Nokia has been marked by disruptive development, so going into completely new areas, and that was also the way how Nokia came to the mobile phone technology and became a world leader for more than a decade in that industry. And I'm quite convinced that what is going on now, what I refer to like Phoenix rising from the ashes again, is a similar disruptive development. And of course, it has been a big blow for the Finns to lose the mobile phone business, because that's very emotional. But I'm sure that Nokia will regain an important position on the new path that they have selected. We share that pain then.
You had a question also about the 787 program. We've made a lot of progress. There's been a lot of press, obviously. Somebody mentioned the battery issue. There's always something because it's a brand new airplane. There's a lot of composite on it. In a few cases, not the battery, but in a few cases with the composites and understanding the full capability of of how to deal with composites and the true nature of some of them, we weren't at the right TRL level when it went on the airplane and when we started the build process. So we had to kind of learn on the fly, but we have corrected a lot of things. Our knowledge has increased very rapidly in this area, which brings about what I said in the talk. Now that we really have a deeper understanding of the material system, are we designing correctly? The airplane is fine, that's not the issue, but can we do better in the future and actually improve upon what, by using this knowledge?
If I could just comment briefly there, I think the question you raised, Peter, is extremely important. It's how do you connect the industry and the university more closely? And as I mentioned, I think the incentive structures have to be there. There's also the possibility of doing virtual research institutes attached to the university. Reforming universities, as I mentioned to you last night, is a little bit like World War I. It's very bloody, but there's not much progress. So what we want is to find ways of moving forward. You have a tremendous scientific base here in Italy, and the question is, how can you utilize that better for global competition? And there has to be a way. This gets back to the change. And it's important to keep in mind that there is empirical research that shows that the research teams that cooperate with industry actually publish more peer-reviewed articles than those that don't. So it's not a question of the ivory tower versus the venal collaboration with industry. On the contrary, you get good science and you get students that are trained for real-world jobs, and you have opportunities for the professors to diversify their experience. We all need to learn to be more open and more collaborative. At the Czech Technical University, I was asking if they ever brought people from industry in to help teach software. And they said, no, we're quite okay. And I said, well, you know, there is a vice president from Microsoft who lives down the street here and hires your students. So maybe he knows something about software production, you know? And maybe he could usefully teach that, and maybe some of your professors could usefully do 6 months inside Microsoft. So in any case, these are just ways of sort of breaking out of the old boxes and thinking about new ways of collaboration.
We have time for one more question here.
Can I? Excuse me, can I?
Thank you. Here is a question from IBM Research. My question is to Dassault. Thank you for a great talk, which was very much in line with what we heard from McKinsey this morning. I wonder, in your appreciation, what is the gap, or maybe I would say it a little bit differently, what is the acceptance rate in your customer base to these new technologies? Is this a business reality, or is this something which is more of a future, experimental? I guess, to make it really simple for you, if I ask for percentage of your customers that really need this tomorrow or yesterday, what would it be?
Could you please?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I've understood the question. The gap between, could you repeat just the gap?
The gap between the vision of three-dimensional value chain, composability, recomposability, everything software-defined and so on, and the business reality on the ground for your customer base.
For sure, not everything is done. It's a vision that I try to share with you, and making sure that, you know, it's aligned with business needs. And the way we are being always working on the gap between the reality of actually what our customers are implementing and this vision. We are used to covering that by working with few of them who are sharing really this vision, and we have been doing that in the past for many years. And I would say that as we speak, you know, in the domain of the value chain recomposition for the manufacturing space, including suppliers and so on, it's something that maybe we are working on this vision to implement with 3 customers in the world. So it's at the beginning of it. But the more we go there, the more we see that, and it has been confirmed today, it's good direction. It really gave the opportunity for seeing different users in the manufacturing world really being involved again. So it's going to take a few years, but it's on its way.
Thank you very much, and thank you, panel.